Hi, team. Thanks for listening in again for another week of Life with Jamie and More. This week, I'm talking to Joe. And Joe, I've known Joe for over 20 years now. Such a cool guy, really, really nice guy, just a heart of gold. And I've caught up with Joe. The last time I saw Joe face to face was about 3 years ago, just before COVID kind of kicked in. And yeah, it was just great. I've got a lot of time for Joe, and I gave him a lot of time on here as well. So really good, really good. You join us mid-flow as we're just chatting away, and we're talking about bubble.
I don't know, dude. I do often the conversations I've had, like with you now, with the guy I talked to last. When did I talk to him? On Tuesday night. Um, and I just feel like I live in this bubble recently, real bubble of not knowing what the hell is going on, even in Japan. Like even like the game with the New Zealand playing like Japan up in Tokyo, right? I was like, I just had almost like I had no idea until the game was over. Hell, like this is how much I'm into sport, Joe. I'm like, I just, but I just live
Yeah.
in. I kind of, I don't know. Um,
Well, I, 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 I believe you have not an excuse. I believe you have a reason for that because you've got your business and you've got your family and you've got this and you've got everything that you need in this bubble that is of importance um, right now. For me, my bubble is just if I was in your situation, like sport would be out. Socializing would be out because I've got my family, I've got my business, I've got my future and the future of my kids to worry about. Then worry about fucking couple of guys running around and tickling each other on the field, you know. Um,
yeah, I do. I think I agree with you on that actually, because I think that there's a limit to how much like one can put into their bubble. I think we have this
yeah,
bubble. That's a great. Actually, I think that's a really good analogy to use because the bubble
yeah,
can
and
only fit so many things inside, right? It's like
yep, before it bursts, and then you're
and but
just like out of control.
you're just out
You
of
don't know
control.
what, yeah,
Yeah,
you don't
and
know what
and
your
so,
priorities are.
and some people's bubbles are bigger than others because some people can
Yeah,
fit stacks in their bubble and some people
yeah,
cannot, and it's all relative to kind of how big you think your bubble is and how also some people see your bubble as incredibly big, or but you might think it's incredibly small, right? But that fucking doesn't matter. It's what you, as to how you think what you can get inside your bubble without it you know just exploding, and then you mean like, shit, I can't deal with this. The whole bubble. I like that. I like that
absolutely.
analogy,
Yeah,
man. I like it. That's a great one.
yeah.
Like,
and
um,
it's truthful. It's factual because thinking back about when you were here and then we touched base on what I had gone through with Elijah and all this and being open and honest and accepting the feelings and accepting certain stuff like my bubble shift from being this parent, this caregiver, this husband um, uh, bubble
mm,
and 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 separating and then divorcing and then meeting Joe, and the bubble that I had before is no longer, and the bubble that I have with Joe is so big. Like this is why I can watch sport. This is why
mm,
I can go play rugby league. I can interact with my kids on my days off. I can, my bubble's bigger now because I'm not in in a relation. I'm not in the old bubble where everything was all I can't do that because I've got to focus
mm,
on my kids. I've got to focus on my marriage, which was was collapsing slowly. I was trying to keep myself together with my emotions and feelings. And you're a man. You gotta bring the beef home, and you're the man of
mm.
the house, and all
Yeah,
this kind of
yeah.
stuff. But now I'm just in this bubble where I can sit back and accept that Joe is um, independent, and she's go-getter at work, and I don't have to spin all the plates by myself now, you know. So yeah,
So it's kind of, would you say it's like two bubbles? How would you describe it? Would you say it's like two bubbles kind of joined together, which creates kind of, you know, like you can see the kind of image of like kind of two bubbles, or is it kind of one, two bubbles coming together create one big bubble, you reckon?
For myself, I guess what I've done is I've stepped out of the other bubble that I was in, and I'm in this whole new bubble. So I'm no longer in that bubble. I can probably say I've burst that bubble and I've created a new bubble on my own, and I'm without previous responsibilities. You know, because that all relies on Sunette, and it's all on her now. Like, we have shared expenses and everything, and not shared custody, but shared understanding of when I have I'll have the boys on my days off, or school holidays, you know. So she's stuck in this bubble now, and she's got her own bubble, so she can't fit anything in now, because she's strained, because she can only do so much, you know. Whereas now I'm, you know, I can, yeah, my bubble is bigger.
Yeah, that's good, man.
But
that's good.
Yeah,
that's really good, man. It's actually such an interesting talk, eh? Like because the bubble.
Keep that analogy. Yeah, keep that analogy and use it elsewhere, because I mean, I want to use that too later on, because I've got friends out there who are going through similar situations where, you know, they don't have a social life because they can't afford to, and they've got responsibilities, and one in particular, like my good mate Jack, the Samoan dude, he's just so focused on getting his business up and running, which he has now, but he's so focused on the future of his kids, and he's got I believe 2 mortgages.
Wow.
And he's living in his in-laws basement garage, him and his wife. And so the 2 mortgages are the house that the in-laws house, and his parents' house. So he went and got a mortgage out to buy his parents' house, but leave the parents there, and then give them the money, which doesn't make sense to me, but you know, and then got the mortgage with the in-laws house, and they're all chipping in to pay it off, type of thing.
Wow,
but
sounds incredibly complicated.
And it's quite, like I say, he's focused, and he's got no time to meet up with friends or have a social outing, and if he does have time, he's prioritizing family, you know, which is understandably cool, because I know it's not going to be forever. I just know that he's going through a period where he just needs to stay in this bubble that he's in, you know. And then when things get better from us, suppose you can just push your bubble out a bit bigger and introduce other things into your bubble.
It's hard though, man, because I think that's like I think that for so many, you know, almost like this 11 years that I've talked about before, which is like from when Joe was first born to back in early 2019, is that I reckon I just was exactly that, you know, trying to just do everything, and you go in with the goal of like, well, you don't even go in with the goal, you just kind of be like, okay, this is only temporary, this is an only temporary thing, or it won't be like this forever. And it's almost, I feel it's almost impossible to be able to kind of put a timeline on that shit, because you just like, things just change, things get worse, things get better. Like, so you're just like, you end up getting so sucked into it that you're like, you're unable to, you become to a point where basically you just fucking hit the wall, which is what I did, because work is a lot of the time like one of those things where we all just get like we just throw ourselves into because that's what we can fucking do pretty well, and we just so we and that's what I did. So I just laid myself into work, right? And I just, while I felt that
That's the only control you have. That's the only
Yeah.
control you have in your life that you can't control is your work.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And also because when your work is you're able to kind of just hopefully be able to focus on to just the work, right? And so all the other stuff that's going on in your life is, out there, but work doesn't fill your cup, man. Work doesn't fill it. Like it just doesn't. It kind of gives you something else to do with your time, taking with all the other stuff that's going on in your life, looking after kids with extra needs and and so on. Like, but it's not like for me anyway. Like I realized that I just needed to I had to really take stock of kind of what was going on, and that happened when I ended up in the ambulance on the way to the go to the hospital. And I think it's because we live as dads with kids who who need extra help. Is that we live in that world of like we are on more like we have more anxiety, we have more to kind of consider, we have more to think about, we worry more, don't we? And it's like,
yep.
So, and when we look at guys who are not in that situation, I don't know, I kind of look over and I think like, man, you have it so easy.
Yep.
I'm sorry to say this, but I just think like, yep, it's so different to what my life is.
Yep. And I believe some of the guys that are going through some stuff will look at us and go, fuck, bro, I wish I was as strong as you, man. Because I'm going through shit and I can't get to grips with it. But when I look at you and you've got special needs and you're like, one of my mates was commenting on how do I do it? How do I stay strong and how do I, you're not with your boys all the time and all this kind of stuff. And say, fuck, bro, you and they don't know deep down inside is that yes, I look good up here, but below the water, I'm struggling as fuck. I'm paddling, and you can't see me paddling. All you see is my smiley head, and credit to them thinking that fuck, I wish I could be strong like you, but dude, I would rather be in your position right now.
When they say that to you and they say, I don't know how you do it, right? Some people have very kind of adverse kind of reactions to that kind of that thing, that statement, question, whatever you want to call it, because like a lot of the time is we didn't choose this, we're just stepping up.
Yeah,
we're just stepping up to do this. It's not like a choice. We didn't have that choice with this. We were just like, okay, we're going to do this. And there are guys, not I'm going to take away that a lot of guys, that's not true. Some guys will cannot do that. They cannot step up. They just feel that this is just way too much, and they're out.
They walk away.
They walk away. And there are guys that do this. And
that's a good thing, because it's a bad thing and a good thing. It's a good thing because they're not needed in that relationship or in that journey, because they're just gonna weigh the others down. When I separated from my partner and we sat down, we talked about it, and we'd been married for 12 years. We decided, like, okay, look, it's not gonna get any better and we've tried. So we come to an understanding, and I said, okay, cool, I'm going to pull myself out of it, but I'm going to be here to support you financially, and remind the boys that they have a father and I love them and all. Not to say that I'm one of these guys who would have dragged that relationship or that family unit down, but they would have grown up knowing how unhappy we both were. No matter how much we say we love the kids, they but you guys are so unhappy. Is it because of us? Me stepping out of there and her carrying the load, 99% of it on her own now, is better for the boys, because they see us as happy. Like Joanna and I are super happy, and Sunette and I are happy that our boys have a roof over their head, they're loved, and they won't get lost out in the world because, oh, my parents are miserable. Oh, they love us, but they're miserable. To those guys that walk away, they're being selfish, but also they're helping what they've left behind, because they are better off. Positive and negative. They might not be better off, but they are better off not having this weight drag them down and remind them that they are the fault. I think, yeah.
It's an interesting take on it, actually. I think, because naturally, I think when we think about those situations, is so much of the time as we put the blame onto we do put the blame onto the dad, right, in the situation.
You want them to step up. You want them to man up. But they can't. Some men can't man up, and the man up they do is walking away from it, and that's manning up in their own way, which they probably don't know. But hey, look, fuck off, because you're not helping. You're not manning up in the way that we want you to man up. We want you to help us, to be with us, to support us, but you can't do it. So fuck off. So they've manned up and fucked off, and for whatever reason, there's a positive and a negative. The negative is that child's gonna, or that family's gonna feel it, and the positive in that is maybe one day the child will have a step in parent or a support group that's better for that child or that family than having this person who will never step up because they just not gonna.
And that, because that brings the toxicity into the family, and it's a really interesting discussion, like, because that comes back to a lot of it comes back to the guy, and the dad feeling that he feels that to kind of walk away totally. Let's talk about that, perhaps, because for someone to kind of be like, I'm out, is it because that shit's very real, and we can speculate. I'm not a big speculator because I don't think that's kind of useful. But I guess is that he, as a dad, as a guy who's become a dad, to a child who needs extra help, who needs extra needs, is that he became a father. He, through that, maybe that might have been could have been planned or unplanned or a big surprise, whatever, and then put into that, and already becoming a father is like a massive job, right? That's a huge job, because we're basing so much of our knowledge about what a dad is on what we were given as kids, right? So that narrative of what we got, we apply that, and while it's not perfect, as we kind of want to try, we try and kind of apply to what we feel that is what it should be for us, and we tweak it. But some guys just don't even have that. They don't even have that dad in their lives when they grow up, right? So then all of a sudden they're thrown into these situations where they're just like, what am I supposed to do with this? And it's I think what I'm trying to say is that it must be very, very.
It's there's so many, like, thinking about it and hearing you talk about it, there's so many scenarios that I can see in situations where my upbringing was, and my dad was never around. I don't remember him being around emotionally. I don't remember him being around physically, and what I mean by that is emotionally is loving me when I'm crying, cuddling me when I'm crying, or protecting me when I'm or talking to me when I'm being emotional. It was always scream, shout. Being a Scotsman, he was, and he would always tell my mum, "You better deal with those children before I do." I didn't realize what he was meaning then, but I felt, okay, you must not love us. Now, physically is he was always tired because he was always working, and dad, dad had us in his late 50s, and mum would have been about 20, and he was always working. He would come home and he just had no patience, no patience for us. He would come home, he just wants to listen to his music, unwind, have a beer, have his double brown. I understand all this now because I'm an adult and I know what work is and I know what responsibilities is. But me growing up with that, and me being an adult, I'm thinking, okay, you can either carry on doing all that, or you can break the cycle and go, I'm gonna be totally different to what I grew up with, or I'm gonna be totally different to what my dad was and the experiences that I've gone through. Try to anyway, and then I didn't, because I've gone through. I've got 7 kids to 4 different women, and I did not know how to be a dad or commit to to my responsibilities, my duties, And as a male in this world, your duty when you have a family is to be there for them, to sacrifice whatever you have in your life for your family. And I guess, Dad was. I've got shitloads of half brothers and sisters all over the place, which means I'm in that cycle where Dad was in his cycle for whatever reasons. He's, and so I guess when I was in London and I was in that point of my life where, okay, Sunette's pregnant, I've got 2 choices. I'm going to either man up or run away like I did previously,
Yeah.
And so I decided to man up and go, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it right because I'm ready for this.
Can I ask you something, Joe? You said "man up." This is a phrase which actually I think is like,
it's the wrong word to use, though, isn't it? It's to man up is I don't think it's the right word to use. I think is to own your duty, own your responsibility, own
own
it.
To make
own it.
Yeah, to step up.
Yeah. and accept that it's scary, accept that it's fucking terrifying, not just scary, it's fucking terrifying. Accept that you're going to fail, accept that you are not going to fail, accept that you're going to be miserable, accept that you're going to be happy, accept everything that's going to be in front of you. Yes, you might be like your father. Yes, you might go down the same road, but hey, accept it. But then you can also control it. You can control your life because you're in charge of it now, not your dad, not your past, but you now going forward. And you are in charge and control of the choices that you make. We all are. We can use excuses like, oh, my dad was a drunk and that's why I'm a drunk. Not that I understand. My dad's never drunk, but you know what I mean? It's like, oh, my dad was this and that's why I'm this. Yes, your dad was that, but that doesn't mean that you can be that. You got a choice, And so I guess I ran away with all those excuses.
I want to kind of go back to, when I say go back, I want to talk about kind of Elijah, because the reason that we're having this conversation and we're sitting down, we're doing this on the podcast is because of how Elijah's kind of challenged you, right? So can we go back to how the beginning of Elijah for us? Can you kind of walk us through that a little bit?
Elijah was not planned. And I remember, and my ex-wife knows this, and I've mentioned it many a time. When I had a back problem. I went to see this guy, and this guy fixed me, and he said, "Hey, look," he did something with me, and he was pretty cool. And he said, "Hey, look, you're not right. If you're planning to have kids, don't have kids now. Wait 3 months, but I need you to cleanse your body. I need you to do these juices." And he was giving it away for free. He was like, "You need to." He was giving me this recipe. He goes, "You're not aligned or something." He was pretty like. I was like, "Well, okay, shit. This guy knows his shit," because he fixed me. I had a real back problem, and he got me on the table. And when I walked in, he goes, "You're not aligned properly. Your back is screwed right." I didn't even tell him what was wrong with me. And then he fixed me straight away. And then he says, "If you're planning to have kids, I don't think you should in the next 3 months, but I want you to cleanse yourself and get yourself right." But my wife then was just like, "Yeah, whatever. I want another kid," And I'm just like, "Oh, let me just cleanse myself," right? And she's like, "No, I want another kid." So I didn't want another child until I was ready, but I wasn't ready. And then anyway, she got pregnant within the 3 months, and I forgot about what this guy had said. And we had Elijah, and Elijah was a year old when I noticed that he wasn't developing as I'd known other kids to like our firstborn and all my other kids. It wasn't until Elijah was maybe a year and a half when he started to crawl or say a word. He wasn't even saying daddy or mama. He was like a year and a half maybe, and then he would mumble something. And so I kind of went, I think there's something wrong with Elijah. And yeah, he wasn't like, he started crawling when he was nearly 2, and it was a slow. He was a late developer. People would say, so, "Oh no, he's all right," and I'm like, I don't think he's okay. I don't feel that he's okay. And then we couldn't, like, we'll take him to the doctors, and they go, "No, he's all right. There's no, ear problems or anything," because he was off balance, and then he was 2, and he said, "Mum, Dad." He could say the word, and I'm like, that's really, I said, like, Jaden was not even a year old. He was a couple of months or 3 months, 6 weeks when he would say, "Dad, Mum." So, look, I knew that there was something not right with Elijah, but we couldn't diagnose him until he was 4, I think. Like, I kept pushing to have him, like, have a specialist look at him, but they wouldn't allow it. Or I don't know. It was frustrating. And then they diagnosed him when he was 5, I think, and said, "Yep, he's autistic." And I just thought he was, dude. I thought he was the smartest, and he is. He's the smartest and the coolest kid. When he was, how old was he? He was 2 maybe, and he was putting. I've got videos and I've got pictures of it. He was putting all his racing cars into color order and types and stuff. And then when he would put his clothes on, when he was a bit older, like maybe 3 or something, he'll lay them out on the floor, t-shirt, underpants, shorts, and socks, and he'll go, "This is what he's wearing." And I'll be like, "Man, he's onto it. This kid's smart, he's and then when we got him. When I said all these things to the specialist, he go, "Oh, yeah, he's autistic, because that's what these are the signs. These are the signs for autism." And I'm like, "Okay, well,
Did you know what
do
it
you mean?"
was? Did you really know what it, when they said, like, this is autism? Did you know?
No.
What was
Well,
your
I had to. I didn't. I honestly didn't know what autism was until we had Elijah. And Sonette was the person that looked into it proper and told me that there's different types of autistic kids. And then I went, "Oh, like the Rain Man, the movie where the guy was,
right.
the Rain Man guy." Like, I was like, "Oh, or like who's the other person?" And I'm like, "Well, he's going to be smart, he's going to be." And she was like, "Well, there's different layers of autism, and there's different, these." So yeah, his was sensory, and like, he didn't want to be touched. Everything was too loud. Yeah, it was a challenge. It was a challenge for many years, because I was always short-tempered, or I guess I was blaming myself for why he was autistic,
Do you?
because
Sorry, carry on. Yeah.
because it took me back to the time where I went to see the sky, and he told me, "Don't have kids for the next 3 months. Don't try." He said, "You need to clean yourself," because he said there was something wrong with me, and I needed to flush it all out. And he gave me this ingredients, and I remember one of it being juiced potato. Like, you just juice the potato and drink that in the morning or something. It was like, he said that my sperm wasn't healthy, and that I needed 3 months to clean everything out, and then after 3 months, then I could try for a kid. But my ex-wife at the time was just like, "No, I want another kid," and for whatever reason, I'm like, yeah, nah. Yeah. Well, it was planned.
Yeah.
She planned it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't ready.
So you kind of back then, I don't know. You kind of said you blame yourself, or blamed yourself for that in some way.
Yep. I blamed myself, because I knew that something was going to be wrong if I didn't follow the instructions of this guy, who I believe knew what he was talking about, because I didn't feel healthy at the time. Man, I had a bad back from just bending over, and I found this guy through my mum, who was given the advice from a cousin, said, "No, go see this guy. He's a healer. And he was a Cook Islander." And he told me his story, and he says he's just got this gift where he can see and feel things, and that was it. And he didn't want no money. He wasn't asking for money or anything. He just wanted to help people, And I'm one who goes, "No, I'm going to give you money," And he was like, "Hey, look, if you're going to give me money, it goes into the charity box here," which he had, and he goes, "You just put it in there." But yeah, so I blame myself for not being man and going, I'm not going to have sex with you for 3 months because I need to clean myself out because I believe this guy, you know. So I blame myself. So I blame myself for how Elijah is.
Do you? A tough question though, Joe. Do you still? Is there a side of you, or do you still have that?
Yep, I do, because when I see me and Elijah, like he's and my partner Joanna will say the same thing, and a lot of people, even my mum goes, "Oh, he's exactly like you," which means stubborn, yeah, just cheeky, just what's the word, where I'm always right type of thing.
Stubborn, arrogant.
Yeah, all that. That's funny thing is, when I catch up, or when I see some aunties, you know, who are in the senior lives now. This was years back when I bump into some aunties or meet some aunties. They'll be like, "Oh," I go, "Oh, I'm Jojo," and they were like, "Ah, you're the cheeky one. I remember you when you were small." And I was like, I'll be like, okay, I must have been really, you know, cheeky and
Yeah.
stubborn, and so I see that in Elijah. And Elijah is he's such a cool dude, man. I can, like, he loves his Legos, his Lego, he loves his drawings, he loves his puzzle making. The the autistic side of him, it shines. Like when he sees something that he likes, he'll go and build it out of Lego. When he sees something, he'll go and draw it, and he's got shitloads of stuff. And at the moment, he's doing this Stickman thing. He created his own YouTube video where he's taking photos of the Legos that he's created, and it's all shots, you know, every few
it's like,
seconds, and he's made a movie out of it.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
He's called it Stickler or something, and I'm like, man, you know, you I noticed that when he was about 5, 6, 7, he was a slow developer, but he was great at creating stuff. Like he'll look at a book and he wouldn't be able to read it under stress, and if someone's watching him. But if he was on his own and you're in the background, he would, if it was to do with instructions and stuff on building something, he would see the words and he would know what the words were and would say them. But if it was under stress, he'd be just like, nah, everything's all jumbled up. I can't, you know, and the stress of it all. I remember when he was being bullied when he was about 5, 6 years old, when he went to school, and I remember him being the nicest, loving kid to all the other kids, and protective over other kids that were going to get bullied, because Elijah's quite stocky, and he'll stand up, and he was really short, so he would stand up to other kids who were trying to bully other kids. So he'll stand up and protect them. And then I'd see him holding a little girl's hand and and making sure that she got to the playground all right, or he would be the one to befriend the new kid in the classroom. And then when he was getting bullied later on, he would not know how to communicate verbally that what they're doing is wrong. So what he used to do is he would grab a pencil or whatever and stab the kid, because that's how he knew that these kids will stop doing what they were doing. Or he would get violent, like and if he couldn't, and we found out that this was part of being autistic, was he couldn't verbally tell you what was going on in his, everything was just all jumbled. And I mean, there was a time where he broke the teacher's finger because he couldn't, he was so frustrated, he couldn't say what was going on.
Yeah.
He couldn't defend himself verbally. And what it was, he was going through such anger and pain that he wanted you to feel what he was going through. So he would get angry and break something, or and that's how he showed you what was wrong with him.
That was how he communicated.
Yeah, like he just it was a struggle for years.
Wow.
I used to tell Sonette to deal with him, because looking back now, and sometimes when I look at the videos, I get really upset inside and go, man, I was hard on him. You know, I didn't realize at the time that he was always seeking my attention and my approval. And when I see some videos of when I've got the boys together, fuck it, and it hurts me now when thinking about it, because he's such a cool kid that all he wanted was my attention, and he was doing these cool things. At the time, I didn't want to pay attention to him, because Tristan was the perfect kid, and Jaden was the older kid who was mummy's boy, and Tristan was the kid who wasn't doing anything wrong, whereas Elijah was the one that was, I thought at the time, was just this kid who was stubborn and cheeky and just not wanting to learn, and just needed a smack because he wasn't. But when I look now at the videos, I go, man, he was just wanting my attention, and he was so cool. You know, there was a video where I was getting the boys to wish a friend happy birthday, and she lives in Germany with her husband, and I was going one by one, going from Jaden, the oldest, to happy birthday, and then to Elijah. And because Elijah was taking a few seconds longer to say happy birthday, I moved away from him. And Tristan goes happy birthday, but Elijah was like, he was shy, because I look at the video and I'm like, just have the patience. Like, I'm telling myself that you should have the patience, because he was going to say it, but he was shy. He was like, happy birthday. And then he went quiet. And then when I moved the video away from me, he went, Auntie Tess. And then he was like, Tristan says happy birthday. And then Elijah's like, hey, I haven't finished, and I'm just like, well, that's right. And I'm like, man, if I just been a little bit patient with him, he would have got there, you know? Yeah, no, he's a cool dude, man. He's a cool dude. In the
It's hard,
last few
isn't it?
years, it's hard, man. It was hard. Like, I was fucking hard on him. I know I was, and all kids, all he needed was love and patience. Love and patience. But what I showed him and what I gave him was discipline and no patience. I put the fear in him, because I would ask him to do something, and it was processing, but to me, it was taking too long, and
Yep.
and this is where my dad would be me, and get angry, and something that will take a minute was taking 2 minutes, and that was too long for me, and that was my dad going, you better hurry up, and this is me going, you better hurry up, and I just wish that I had the support group or people around me who would say, hey bro, it's just I've got, I wish I'd reached out. I wish I had reached out to people who had special needs kids, and you know how you have this alcoholic group and you have this other group, I wish I had known about, or been the word man enough to look for them, but I wish I had that group. There's groups now that I know of, there's shitloads of them. Back then it would have been awesome, because then I would have been patient with Elijah. Sunette was.
Do you think? Do you? Sorry, Joe. Do you think that it, like, having kind of the patience and all that, because to have patience, is actually really something, because I'm I struggle with that daily. But I suppose what I want to kind of talk about and ask you about is like the kind of reality of feeling that did you feel that you were on your own and that you didn't have anyone that that was in a similar kind of situation to yourself, that you
Absolutely,
mhm,
absolutely. And you know, but what I didn't realize was that I wasn't alone. I had Elijah's mother, but behind the scenes, her and I were clashing, and we weren't on the same page sometimes,
mm,
and like she was the total opposite. She was patient with Elijah, like and I wasn't, and I wish I had another male um, friend or someone male in my life who's in the same situation, have gone through it and gone, hey, bro, this is what you need to do. And then I can go, oh, okay, yeah, all right. And he goes, you need to do this, you need to do that, and you need to be real patient and just give them love. Like now I know that all kids want is to be loved. And that's pretty much it, really. They just want to be loved,
mm.
and
Yeah.
patience come into that. Patience come into that. And it's only been in the last few years after meeting Joanna that I've been really patient with my boys. Like there are some days where I'm, because of outside elements where I don't have the patience to be like,
Well, you're human, Joe.
let's
I
go.
mean, you're
Yeah,
human,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Like this is
yeah.
like,
But I talk to them now, I talk to Elijah. I praise him. I praise the boys. I give them as much love as I can. Um, but that's all they want. They I know that they're going to make mistakes in their lives. I know that they are going to go through stuff, but
mhm,
I want them to know that I'm here. I love you regardless,
mm,
and I'm always proud of them.
yeah. And that is like doing that, I think is it can be, there are different forms that comes in, right? Different ways of delivering that, because just like yesterday, I was listening to a kind of a something from the radio, actually from New Zealand. Actually, it was about uh, White Ribbon Day, which is
Mm,
about talks about violence against. It's kind of
yep,
bringing awareness of the violence from men against women, and I just look at it as a general thing, but it's focused onto kind of violence on men to kind of children and women.
yep,
And there was a guy who was telling a story, and he talked about he went to his daughter was killed by her husband. Um, Incredibly sad. And anyway, so he was like, this is just so, he was so kind of angered by it that he kind of started to kind of make proactive steps about raising awareness about this. And anyway, he went to prison, and he talked to this guy, a convicted criminal and in prison. And this guy was like, how do I just don't, I've been here, I don't know how am I supposed to like tell my kids I'm sorry for all the shit that I've done? And he said, well, you got to get down on your knees and you got to hug your kids. That's what you got to do, because words won't mean anything. Actions are everything. And you've got to do these actions, and actions are, so imperative, right? And anyway, so he basically, he this the guy who went to prison to see this man, he hugged this guy. This guy was massive, apparently. It was just absolutely, he said, stand up like this, and the guy stood up, and he went over and he hugged him. And then he felt the guy hug him back, and then he felt the guy start to cry. And I thought to myself, what, like, it's such a moment where I thought to myself, again, I don't do that enough. I don't do that enough to my kids. I don't do that enough to my wife. I don't do that. And I'm like, this is, I feel it's like the basics of being a dad. But for some thing in my head, it's like, you know,
It's because we feel like we are failures. Personally, I think we feel like we're failures and we don't deserve their love when we're hugging them. And if I put myself, Tristan is the one that comes up and hugs me all the time. Elijah loves it when I go and give him a hug. He used to be, don't touch me, sensory, but I'd force myself on him and just go, I'm going to hug you anyway. And I don't care how distressful you get, I'm hugging you because you're my son. I'm holding your hand until you are 16 years old, crossing the road, or if we're walking together, I'm holding your hand. I'm going to let it go when you're 16 years old because that's when I believe you can walk across the road on your own. And that hugging, I heard this a few years ago, and I was a year back, and I saw, and you're absolutely right. Where I said to Joanna, we've got to hug you at least 20 seconds. Hug your kids every day in the morning for 20 seconds. Tristan will come up and he'll just hug me straight away. And hey, Dad, I love you. How's it going? How was your day? Elijah, I'll go up and hug him. Jaden, and he's taller than me now, and I'll go and put my head on his shoulder, 14-year-old kid, and I'll be like, and he and I have started to connect in the last year. He's mummy's boy because he's mummy's boy, and I'm like, that's fine. You be with your mum. You're soft as you go be with your mum. I've got the other two to worry about, But in the last year, he and I have been trying to connect, and we have connected, and we're slowly building a relationship, But you're right, hugging.
I think it's
most important.
It's a fear of, like, there's so many reasons why we feel this, and I think that, like, I got home basically after listening to this last night. Yesterday, I was listening to it on Friday night. I got home, and I just, like, Josh came in the door first, and I kind of got down, and I gave him a big hug, and I gave him a kiss, and I said, "I love you," like this, and he's like, "Okay, thank you." And I just thought, like, and he kind of, I can feel that he doesn't quite know, like, sometimes he kind of will kind of, you can feel someone who's actually hugging, like putting his arms around you, like hugging, and like he was half kind of doing this, wasn't like fully, and then I think Junko came in the door next, and I gave Junko a hug too. I said the same thing. I love you. And I just thought, and I just felt, like, how I know, I just felt like I'd been kind of being human to me, so showing myself some kind of humanity as to how much, how important my family is, and expressing it in such a, like, in a way, such a simple way. But I think that as dads, we sometimes struggle with that because we feel that we have to, like,
it shows our weak it shows our weak side, because we feel weak for that little bit. I mean, we feel love and weakness at the same time. I feel
Yeah.
love and weakness at the same time
Yeah.
when I hold my kids, because I don't want to lose them, and it weakens me that
Mm.
one day something terrible is going to happen either to me or to them or someone,
Yeah.
and and I've got to be strong now because I don't want that emotion to break me.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
hugging hugging your kids reaffirms the love that you have for them and the protection that you will give them,
Mm-hmm.
and they feel that,
Yeah.
and they will carry that on and cherish it, because when they're older, they're going to know that, and remember all the hugs they've had throughout their lives and go, this is more meaningful than words. And you're absolutely right. The person out there who's saying, your actions are louder than the words that you say. Absolutely. You don't have to say anything. You just give them the hug and they feel it.
Mm. Yeah. It's so important. It's so important.
Same goes with guys, same goes with guys, um, you hug a mate and you just hold them tight, and then you go, love you, bro. Some may react differently and fucking homo, but that's them going, I love you back, because they don't know how to hug you back because they don't want to feel weak in that moment. But
Mm.
I know, I know, bro. I know you. I know you're a strong dude, but I also know that you're weak because you just showed it right there.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Because
and a stronger man will just hug you back and go, "Che, bro, I love you too."
yeah.
'Cause, the saying goes, it takes a real man to do something like that, doesn't it?
Mm. It does, and it's not, and unfortunately, it doesn't happen enough.
No.
I was talking to my mum. I was messaging my mum the other day, and I said how, this happens a lot in New Zealand, and if you haven't seen a mate for a while, or even if you see a mate regularly, is that you go up and you do the old kind of hands in front of each other like this, right? And then you kind of bring it in. So your fist is between your chest. Both your hands are between each other's
Heart
chest.
to heart.
Yeah. So basically, while that kind of feels good, I kind of feel it like, why don't you do that if you meet a woman, a female friend that you haven't seen for a while, you don't do that to a female friend. It's very rare, right? You give them a full hug, right?
Yep.
So why is it that like guys don't do that to the other guys, and just don't? Like, you can do that, but then go and do like the full like hug your mate, because it's and I heard the reason is because we just don't want to have our hearts so close together. We put our hands between to cover our kind of protect our hearts between each other, which I don't know whether I kind of fully agree with that or not. But like, I just think it's a fact that like having, two men kind of having their
Masculine.
chest essentially like together, like, as and it's like, because we feel that like, that's gonna make us less of a man, and which I think is kind of really sad, because we want to show the affection to our mates, and if we haven't seen them for a while, or even a week or a year or whatever, right? But it's like, well, yeah, it's a interesting thing to kind of dissect and think about, and I know when I one thing's for certain, Joe, is when I see you next time, man, I was gonna give you a
It's a
full on
hug,
hug,
bro.
mate.
It's a hug.
There's
It's a
not
hug. Yep.
it's just because, and I think that what we're kind of talking about here is, who you can do that with, and there are
Yep.
and you're one of those guys, and there are there are a handful of guys that I know I can do that with, and others I like, they would be like, okay, so
Last night at this party that I went to with Joanna, Joanna's best friend Richie, he's not a hugger. He's not a hugger, and he's only got a select few friends where he will hug, and I'm one of them, because the love that I have for Joe and Joe loves for me. Like this, Richie and Joe grew up together and brother and sister. Like he will protect her, and so he'll hug me, and he's like, I'm glad you found each other, because he can back off from protecting her, and but still, if you fuck her up, bro, I'm gonna fuck you up, kind of thing, But he's not a hugger, and he'll come up and he'll like, bro, and he'll hug me and go, good to see you, and then that's it. No one else. He'll shake everyone else's hands. He's not a hugger. Hey, bro, yeah. But then to me and a select few friends, he'll give them a hug. Last night was, he was like, hey, because he's a real staunch rugby man, and and
Really tough.
So for that moment, when he hugs you, he's showing a little bit of weakness, but it's not weakness. Yeah,
it's like vulnerability, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not. It's strength, because you have to be strong to be vulnerable. It takes a strong person to be vulnerable.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Joanna helped me break down my barriers or my shield, and saying it's okay to cry. It's okay to be weak, and it's the first woman in my life that has said that to me, like, and I cried. Growing up, men don't cry. You can cry when your mum passes away, because it's right. But when you're feeling weak and tired and hurt, man up. You're a man, or But with Joe, it's like, it's okay to cry. It's all right to be weak, because it's only temporary. You're only recharging yourself, reminding yourself that you are a strong person. You just need to be reminded. And that moment of weakness is you being reminded that you are a strong person. I can cry it out, mate, because once you're done, you're going to get back up and go, okay, fuck it, focus now. What's next? What's the next step? I've cried. What's the next step? Find people around you. Find the right kind of people. Find the positive people. Stick with what you feel is right. Yes, it's going to be hard. Having a family is hard, because for me personally, I used to think that I've got to be the strong person, because something might happen to my kids and I'm going to break down, and it was always the negative thoughts of, shit's going to happen, prepare yourself mentally and physically for it. And it's not healthy.
No, it's not.
It's not healthy.
It is absolutely not healthy at all. It is the total opposite, isn't it?
And see, Elijah loves that I can be this dad that's vulnerable, and that's loving, and that's also strict and strong in a way, because I'm giving them direction or path, if I may. Because you can't just be wandering the earth without direction and without your parent going, you can't do that, son, and this is why. Not just, you can't do that. Now it's, you can't do that because this.
Yeah.
But if you carry on doing it, son, that's on you. I'm here to tell you, when you want to listen, this is the reason behind why you can't do that.
Yeah.
And Joanne has taught me that, my parents never explained to us or to me the reasons behind instructions. You can't do this because of that. Someone's calling through. Sorry, I should have just logged off everything.
That's all right.
Did you hear that? Or was that
No,
you or
no,
me?
no, I couldn't hear it at all, mate. No.
I was trying to. Oh, okay. It's Elijah. Elijah's calling through.
Elijah's calling you. He must
Yeah,
know.
it was
His ears must
Elijah.
be burning, man.
Yeah.
He's-
He must feel that I'm talking. No, actually, I spoke to his mum this morning, and he was in the warehouse, looking at some toys or something. I said, "Oh, okay, well, just tell him I called, and I'll speak to him later." But that's him
There we
calling
go.
through now. I'll call him back later. He's a cool little dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. It. I got, we've talked a lot. We've talked a lot about so many things here. I've got some questions here.
Far away.
How do you take time to be the best dad that you want to be, Joe?
It's a good question. I don't think I plan. I don't think I look into it. I think I just do. I think I just go with, because my what's the word? My feelings or my is up and down. But then I remind myself because I'm away from them a lot and I only get them on my days off or on school holidays, I remind myself this period of time that I have with them is so short. Make the most of it. And I try. I told them last weekend when I had them, when they're at home in the weekend, they get to go on their gadgets and jump online and talk to their friends, and do games and stuff. And I go and pick them up, and the mum will say, "Look, they don't want to be with you this weekend because you don't do anything with them." And I'm like, "No, they don't want to be with me." And she agrees on it. So it's good because I don't have the technologies that they have at home at my house. Because when they come here, it's you're on your tablet for an hour and that's it. It's limited to when they're at home, and their mum's just tired and go like, do whatever you want for the next few hours. Gives me time to just do me. So when they're here, they're with me. And so when I got in the car with them and I explained to them, I said, "Look, your mum's told me this," and I said, "This is why I want you at my house, because one day you're going to be a teenager and then you're going to be an adult, and we won't have this time." I said, "Understand this, son, boys, that I'm making the time to pick you up and be with you. And I know you don't like it because you're not doing the things that you do at home with me. But be grateful that I'm here as a dad, because some kids don't have dads and some dads don't make the time to come and be with their kids. And so what if we just sit around home and do nothing? You're with me, son. And for me, it's huge, but for you it's not, because we're not doing anything. I'm like, going for a walk with you guys means the world to me. To you guys, it's just going for a walk. When you're older, you're going to understand that shit, going for a walk with dad was actually pretty cool because dad was there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But how do you, Joe, though, like, as with everyone in their lives, there's so much going on, work, life, juggling all these things, man. And then, of course, being a dad, and Elijah, who's got autism, how do you like, what's something that you do to kind of, that's just for just you, that allows you to be like, okay, I can just do this just for me. Like, it's not work. It's not, watching, or maybe it is watching TV and just watching a movie, but something that
Do what he wants to do. That's what I've learned to do. Do what he wants to do, not do what I want to do. do what he wants to do. So if he wants to sit around here and just show me pictures, I'll sit, I'll dig up the patience for it and go, fuck it, bro. It's only going to be this short amount of time. So, and he's going to remember that, And Joanna reminds me, hey, she's like, when you have time with Elijah, make sure you invest that time with him because it's so short, And then all of a sudden, and it hurts me when I'm taking them back home, and I go, that wasn't long enough, or fuck, I was an asshole because I didn't put enough effort into it. I should have done more. I should have done, and then I get so sad that I'm not there to tuck them into bed or there for them when they wake up in the morning. And the time that I've had with them is like, so when I have them here, and they get up in the morning, they set to get up at 7 or 8, and they can go on their gadgets for an hour before, while I'm doing breakfast. But I make sure to go and see them in the morning so they know that I appreciate them being here, because they get all happy instead of just getting up, coming down, making breakfast, and then going, oh, kids, come down and have breakfast. It's like I go and see them, and they get happy, and I see it in their eyes, especially Elijah, when I go up and kiss him on his head and go, good morning, good morning, Dad. And then it's straight away, what are we having for breakfast? It's all about food for him, because he's set, breakfast, lunch, dinner. And man, if we have late lunch, which creeps into dinner, he's still got, his brain is like, we haven't had dinner. So yes, this is a really late lunch, which he doesn't appreciate, because he's like, he'll remind me, well, Mum says lunch is at this time. Well, 5 o'clock comes along. Well, we have dinner at this time. And I'm like, yeah, well, we've been so busy with this day and doing this, that, the little snacks that we had there, that was lunch. No, that wasn't lunch, Dad. That was snack. It's
calling you out.
Like, yeah, man. And it's been a few times where the lunch has gone in towards dinner, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to give him this amount of lunch, because dinner is just around the corner, and dinner's this amount, and he's like, he'll still scoff it down, because he's in his brain, it's like, I've had breakfast, lunch, dinner. Don't, all these other snacks, they're just snacks. That's not lunch. And he's and he's genuine. Like, he's genuine in his I love yous, and the way he's feeling, or the way he talks to you, the way he like Joanna appreciates that he's genuine. Like, it's like a cat. A cat will tell you, the cat will make you know when they don't want you, or Elijah is the same. It's like, he will let you know that he doesn't want a hug. Whereas Tristan will go, well, I'm going to give you a hug, but I'm going to do it because you want a hug. But Elijah's like, no, I don't want to hug you. No, I don't want to say hello to you, because that's how he feels. He's not going to pretend to feel so you could feel good about yourself. He's like, nah, hi, and he'll walk off, because that's how he feels. But then when he's happy, he'll come down and he'll be happy. He'll be like, oh, hi, and he'll be, okay, cool. That's genuine. Yeah. Whereas Tristan is like, I got to put on a smile. I got to put on a smile because I'm with Dad now. How was your day? Yeah.
How okay. Oh, here's another one. How has Elijah changed you since he came along?
He's still changing me. And there's going to be layers to it too. He's going to be a teenager soon. He's going to be 13, then he's going to be 14, then he's going to be 15, then he's, puberty is going to kick in. Then there's going to be girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever road he takes. I'm going to be forever changing. The one thing that's going to stay constant is the love I have for him. That won't change, But yeah, I hate to think how he's going to be in 5 years.
Is that one of your biggest fears?
Well,
Or one of your fears?
yeah, there. Yeah, I have a little fear, but I know that he's going to get through it. You know, because he's 12 going on 13, and he's had 12 years of experiences where he's had to struggle to try and relate or convey what he's saying or communicate, or he's had these changes, and then he's done really well, and he's got the support network, he's got, and I've made him aware that saying to people that he's autistic is okay. When I'm around friends and they go, oh, this is my son Elijah, he's autistic, so I let them know straight away so they don't judge him and go, fuck, your kid's cheeky, man, or fuck, your kid's rude, or fuck, your kid, I was like, oh, this is my son Elijah, he's autistic, and so they can go, oh, okay, yeah, sweet ass, and and if they don't know what autism is, they'll, what do you mean,
I suppose a lot of people are like that. Probably people kind of don't really know, because they don't.
Yeah.
Generally, I think a huge portion of people actually don't quite know what it is. They know the name, but they don't know kind of really what it is. Hey, so you're kind of in a way.
And there's different levels of autism.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's a whole spectrum of it, right? I didn't even.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
like one of my really good friends, well, not really good friend, a work colleague from a different department. His son is severely autistic, but in a way where you can tell straight away, like, okay, he's and he's what is he now, 16? And and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's towards the severe end of autism.
Yeah.
And then and I've got another friend whose kid is just hyper, just full on hyper. And I'm like, oh, that's bloody, ADD or ADHD or whatever they call it. And oh, no, he's autistic. He's been diagnosed. And I was just like, shit. Put him into rugby, man. He's got so much energy. Just give him a sport, bro. Just
give him a ball, let him run.
Yeah, give him a ball. Just fucking honestly, bro. He just run. He's just hyper. It's just.
Oh, that's so hard. That I tell you, man, like that.
Like a Jack Russell.
So much energy. Be so challenging as a parent, because because it is so hard sometimes to be like, to have that energy to keep up, and because it's just challenging. But oh man, all the credit to like
yeah, absolutely. Go. If we came into financial wealth, if we did back in the, I would hire a young nanny who would keep up with the kids. Because we're so tired from life that we can only have enough energy to go, good night, I love you, or read a book. Whereas the young nanny got heaps of energy to run around with the kids and do what you don't have the energy for, because you got life. You got life.
That's right. That's exactly right. And it is. And that's where, like, that's where giving ourselves our own permission to be human, and we just and we can't run around for 8 hours a day. We don't, like, that's just. But a lot of autistic kids just, when they go to bed, they just go to bed so fast, like they're just like boom, like this. They lie down and they just crash, and they're like, and Jamie's like that. I don't know. Is Elijah like that? Does he kind of just crash when he goes to bed?
No, Elijah takes a while to. You got to give him warning, at least 20 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes, and say, hey, look, you're going to bed at 8 o'clock, so it's 7:30. Think about what you need to do next, because he'll be so engrossed in whatever he's doing now, these gadgets, whatever.
Yeah,
he'll be on his tablet, and he needs to know that, okay, I've got 30 minutes to do what I need to do before I need to go to bed, and I'll go, included in that, son, is you brushing your teeth before you go to bed. So you've got to have that schedule in place, or that yeah,
A
or
timeline.
yeah. Well, the thing is, if I go, hey, bed 5 minutes, and he'll be like 5 minutes, or hey, it's bedtime, go to bed, boys. He'd be like, nah, it's not going to work. And then there's the tantrums, and there's because everything is just, you did not give me enough warning. In his brain, he's just like, no, I'm halfway through something, and I need 10 more minutes. And I'll be like, no, I'm tired, man. I want to say goodnight. And I've learned to go. And Joanna reminds me now and then. It goes, hey, it's getting late. I think you need to let them know now that, I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, shit, I better go and remind them, hey, boys, 10 minutes, brush your teeth now, and then 10 minutes starts after you brush your teeth,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All about, and
but when they're gone, but when he's done, but when they're done, gone.
Yeah.
But he's got to be given that warning at least,
So once he's in bed, once he's actually in bed and like, okay, lights are off or whatever, is it that
there's times where he gets fidgety with his brother because they sleep in the same room and in the same green bed, and they get fidgety, or he does, and it takes him. Whereas Tristan is just like, no, I'm going to bed because I've had a long day. Sometimes he'll come up to me and go, hey, Dad, can I go to bed now? I'm like, yeah, good luck, because Elijah's not going to want to go to bed now. And he goes, no, I'll be out, Dad. Yeah, I'll be out, and so the 10-year-old is like, I'm tired. I've had a long day. I'm like, oh shit, you too.
You've had a long day.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
man.
yeah.
All right. Okay. What was a couple of questions here? What was something that really made you laugh, like fully laugh recently? Something you just like, you just, because I think laughing is something that maybe we don't do enough. Just a full on laugh at life. So kind of, what made you just like laugh and almost have tears in your eyes, for a couple of minutes or something like that?
I haven't had one of those in a long time. But what I love about Joanna is that we can both be silly and laugh at each other. Like I can be real dorky and she'll laugh. And I love how we can be dorky and she can be like this, and just laugh at each other. Tristan is the same. Like we can do silly things. Elijah, he has to be the person or the one to do something silly that we can laugh with and laugh at. Whereas if it was reversed, he would think that you're taking the piss out of him, and it's emotional to him, and it's hurting his feelings. And he'd be like, "That's not nice," And I'm like, "Dude, just crack it." Well, that's not funny, So I'll have to wait for him to do something funny, and the saddest thing about the kids at school, his age and younger, is that social media is freely available to them, so they can see stuff which they shouldn't be looking at, and to them it's funny. As an adult, you look at it and go, you're too young to absorb that. You don't fully understand it. Like, I'll give you an example. Like months back, they were talking about 69, and they'll laugh about it, and I go, they know what in reference. They know what they're saying. They know what it's about, what it's pointing out to. And I'm like, and I go, you guys are too young to understand. Yes, and I pulled them out about it. And I said, okay, I keep hearing you guys say this, and I've kind of ignored it, but it's rude and it shouldn't be spoken around adults. And I've taught you guys what you hear from school or what you hear from your friends needs to stay within your group, or that, and it's wrong if you're speaking it around adults, because we're going to find offense to it or think that you're way too young to know this stuff. And I pulled them up about it and say, look, what do you think 69 means? Oh, it's a rude thing. I said, okay, what do you know? What do you think is behind that? And then I was just straight up with them when they couldn't give me a straight answer. And I say, look, 69, yes, is a sexual position, but your brains are too young to understand that it's a position of pleasure. It's more than just two people in a weird position naked. Yes, you might think it's funny because you're seeing two people in a position and they're naked, but there's more to it, and with all this other stuff, that's why I'm a bit worried sometimes, because when I look at their gadgets, and I said to their mum the other day, we need to, like Jaden, he's 14 and he's, I'm low tech, bro. And the kids they're just so advanced with technology changing, and I'm like, the boys are on YouTube. I said, it's so easy for them to find shit on social media or online and believe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because some dude is saying, hey, if you go and get a knife and stab your brother, it's going to be and then no, it's not, son. Don't listen to this idiot online. Do you see mom and dad do it? Do you see your brothers do it? Not that's what they're going to do, but that's what's out there.
Yeah.
These challenges, these
are real world challenges, man, because like this is like every parent's like nightmare, isn't it? Because it's just, and it is, because as we grew up, we didn't have that. Well, we didn't have the internet like that.
No. I mean,
and
the closest things we probably had was Playboy magazines underneath Dad's fucking bed, or older brother's Playboy magazine, or someone older in the schools brought a Playboy magazine, and it wasn't hardcore, until it was hardcore.
Yeah, well, that was that's the thing. So we kind of we find ourselves in a position where we have to try and work out what we want it to look like, right? Because there's the narrative that we grew up with is just, that boat sailed long ago, man. Like we now have to create the narrative ourselves, because if we create that narrative now, then that's going to flow on. And of course it's going to change, like when they get to when they get to a point of having their own children, right? But holy shit, like, trying to navigate through now is like, is the
challenge, man.
Oh, it is.
It's tough, and I feel for my ex-wife, because she's got 3 boys that one's going through puberty, but he's cool. He's smart, and then Elijah's next in line, And the challenges, I suppose, is that the outside world is dictating what his world should be, and it's challenging, because you're not there to go, you're not a fly on the wall, or you're not right next to them and go, that's wrong, just because a whole bunch of kids are doing and saying that doesn't mean that's right, son. And yeah, it's, and you can't protect them from that. You just hope that you've instilled sense in them, the difference between right and wrong, and the respect that they should have for themselves and others. And that's all I suppose we can do when we have them at home, is like, what would you do, if that person was talking about that person, or saying this about that person, and they were talking about your mum, how would you feel? Then why are you saying that? You shouldn't be saying that. Or why are you doing that? Imagine if somebody was doing that to mum, how would you feel? Then why are you doing that? Don't say that. You I remember about a year back, Elijah and Tristan were going to the same school last year, and an older kid, a kid who was the same age as Elijah, was privy to stuff that he shouldn't have been looking at. And he was coming to school and showing the kids, and we're like, when he does that, you need to tell the teacher, and the teacher needs to make the parent aware of what he's doing. And and it's you, and I go, we've instilled in you to know the difference between right and wrong. Do you think what he was doing was right? No. Then why have you entertained him? Why have you made him feel like he could do what he's doing? You got choices. Son. You know it was wrong. Walk away from it. Go tell a teacher. Don't feed into what he's doing and think, knowing that it's wrong. But they. Okay, yes, he's caused a problem. Yes, he's the one that I should be screaming at or telling off at. But I'm telling you because you're telling me. So, pardon me. So that's all we can do. We can't be with them 24/7 and protect them. And
No.
well, we can remind them, like, the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's how we've brought you up with love. Pardon me. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge, man. It still is.
Yep, it is, and that's the thing, is that we just trying to do the best that we, excuse me, the best that we want to be, and challenging
As parents,
ourselves.
it's hard, and we can look back at our parents. I remember my mum was saying a long, long time ago when you wait till you have kids. It wasn't until start having kids and being an adult, and I go, oh, now I know what mum's was going on about.
Yep.
And I used to challenge that. Oh, when I have kids, I'm going to be better than you. No.
Like, so, okay,
and then we say the same.
Sorry.
Say the same thing to our kids. That wait till you have kids.
Wait till you have kids.
Wait till you come into the real world. Wait till you come into the real world. You think you got a bad? You wait.
What music, Joe? I want to talk about music for a little bit here. So music, I love music, and music gets me through days or moments or things, and like Jamie loves music. He either loves particular songs or like likes particular songs on repeat and stuff like that. So I want to hear about for you what is a song. And I've got a playlist. I've got a Spotify playlist which I put people's songs up onto. What song or songs that really you just love? It's like a go-to song, or it reminds you of a part in your life, kind of raising Elijah or things like that. Anything that jumps out at you?
Well, lately I've been listening to Tupac, Hit 'Em Up.
Yeah.
But no, that's me going to work and coming home.
All right.
Releasing all the stress.
Blasting out the car stereo. Boom, there it is.
Yeah, oh yeah, man. Yeah, when I get to the traffic lights, I drop all the windows down and pump it up and Tupac it out.
Let everyone have it.
Yeah. Right. Looking at me funny. Well, I'm releasing some stress.
I need to have a listen to the song. Actually, I may know. I may not know. I don't know.
Hit 'Em Up.
Hit 'Em Up. Okay.
Yes. You don't listen to it with the kids, just yourself. It's quite angry. It's an angry
song. Is it? Okay, it's an angry song. Okay. Yeah. What's another one? What's any more?
Well, Elijah, and I've got videos. Elijah loved listening to, I don't know about now, but he loved listening to Hard House.
Hard House. Oh, like the type of music, Hard House.
Hard House music, yeah, man.
Right.
With music.
Oh, interesting.
Like playing in, not in his ear muffs, but in the, and you'd be like, and I guess it goes with everything going on in his head, and so he's and it goes rhythm, so it slows it. I don't know. I'm just guessing, and it slows it down, and he's just. I've seen him many times years ago. I'll put on Hard House in my car, and we're driving along, and he's just like. And then I videoed him. One of my CDs was playing, and he was in the background. He was just like,
got the the music in him. That's great. Awesome.
What did I? It was AC/DC. He likes AC/DC.
Here we go.
Thunderstruck.
All right, that's a great track.
Yeah.
So he likes it. Well, what about? So he likes that one. He likes a bit of Thunderstruck. What about you, Joe? And what's another one from you?
Well, I'm pretty much into anything and everything, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like R&B, hip hop was my go-to. Even Cook Island music takes me home. Like I'll listen to. I've got Cook Island CDs, so I'll jack on some fresh off the boat, or what's his name, Tyson, or some Cook Island music CDs. I'll just plug it in and it takes me home.
That's cool.
And it calms me. But I'm open. I listen to anything and everything to get my mood going, except for heavy metal where you can't hear the lyrics and all you hear is just screaming.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm not into that.
To me, I'm like,
I'm like,
hey, each to their own, hey. But I'm like, man, I bet you if you slow it right down and you hear the lyrics or you read the lyrics, it's something like, "I love my mom. I'll make you a cup of tea." That's what my thinking is. It's not devil worshipping, lyrics. It's more like, yeah, let's have a cup of tea. That's what I think it is. It's just some guy who's screaming it and you can't. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. The one of the last questions that I end up is, what would you say that are 3 or 4 words that sum up your life as Elijah's dad?
Challenging, fun, but I wouldn't change any of it. Like, I can only give you 2. It's challenging and it's fun.
Challenging,
I wouldn't change it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't change it.
No,
because without it, it'll be boring.
Yeah, and that's something which, like a lot of guys that I've interviewed, they say the same thing. They just wouldn't change a thing, because it's like, it's how it is, and we can't really, there's no other way that we could even see it, how our lives kind of really, like, so that's how it is. And it's just like, it's challenging, it's fun, it's chaotic, it's it's hard.
Yep.
And
we wouldn't change it, because that's what's been presented to us. That's what's been given to us, and we've accepted it and taken it on board. And I'm trying to think of, there was this Denzel Washington movie where he was a dad, and this kid was like, "Why do you hate me?" I can't remember, but it was he said to the kid, "My job is not to like you. My job is to make sure you have a roof over your head and you got food on the table, because it's my duty. It's my job, But it also shows that you love your kid because you want to make sure that they're safe, and having a kid or kids is a duty involved in it.
It is,
and it's quite challenging when you don't have the support group, when you don't have the right people around you, when you don't have the family to fall back on, or your partner to fall back on.
Indeed.
So reaching out and asking for help is okay and should be what needs to be done. And it's not weak when you do ask for help.
Solid.
I guess some men are just, I guess we're just too proud to ask for help. Now, I know Polynesians, and I believe it's changing. I know Polynesians don't want to ask for help because I guess it brings shame, but it's not what we do.
Mm.
We just do. We just yeah. But I know it's changing, and I'm hoping it'll keep changing where Polynesian men ask for help,
Mm.
and it's not weak when you do ask for help. Yeah.
Cool, man. Joe, thank you so much, mate, for like sitting down here and telling your story and your
Oh, good brother.
journey, mate, because it is you know, it's so important to hear and hear the reality of kind of how you get through, how you don't get through, because like there's
And it's okay. All of that is okay.
Mm.
Like that's what we got to remind ourselves, is that all of that is okay. It's
Yeah.
okay that we fail. It's okay that we succeed. It's okay that we fall down. It's okay that we cry. It's okay that we reach out for help. It's okay. You know, and it's okay that we discipline our kids with love. It's okay because we are still there.
Mm. Yeah.
And I guess it's okay because you know that if you go to sleep and you wake up the next morning, they are still there and they love you because you are there and you've woken up and you're there
Mm.
and you're still there for them.
Yeah. Yep. Man, awesome. Thanks, man.
All good, my bro.